Welcome to episode 8 of the Same 60 Pokemon podcast. I'm Jeffrey, JGB146 Blake.
And I'm Nate, Sky Circus TCG.
Today we're going to talk about the newly revealed cards that Pokemon gifted us for Christmas. So these are things like new EX Pokemon that are ancient and future Paradox Pokemon, as well as 3 Ace Spec cards. And we'll give you our thoughts and opinions about them. And then we'll wrap up with a Who's That Pokemon playoff between the two of us. But before all that, I just want to say thank you guys for the support you've shown so far this year. It's been great, and if you could continue, any of you out there listening that have not liked or subscribed, we'd appreciate it if you do, but you're you're by no means required. But once again, I hope that you've enjoyed what we've done over the year, over the last couple months really, I guess. And I hope you've had a great Christmas, because that's actually the first thing we're going to talk about. So Nate, how was your Christmas?
Well, I did not receive any Pokemon cards, but me and my family, we met up, and we like to host this event every year called, Dirty Santa, or White Elephant, right?
Sure.
So we exchange gifts, and we go around opening them, but we can actually take other gifts.
Right.
Which is really fun.
Cool.
But how was yours?
Mine was mostly good. We had my wife's mother and her significant other over, just kind of chilled and hung out, played some games, and ate food, and had lots of presents for the little one, with a few for each other. I mostly got clothes, which is actually exactly what I wanted.
Awesome.
I didn't get any Pokemon stuff either, although I did get some monies that could buy Pokemon stuff if I went that way. But other than that, it was mostly a good Christmas. The only kind of shadow to that cloud, I guess that's the silver lining, I guess the gray cloud that was over everything for me, was that I've been sick since last Wednesday. So I'm finally coming out of it, but it definitely put a damper on celebrations. I didn't feel like I could really, I was at a couple arms distance from our guests the whole time, and spent the whole time cleaning, and like I normally wash my hands a lot anyway. I think you're familiar with that. Every time you're over, I'm like, wash your hands before you touch the cards. But this was like overdrive for me, because I'm like, I don't want to get anybody else sick. Thankfully, no one has been sick. Like, my wife and my daughter haven't caught anything from me, so we felt like it was pretty safe to have the couple of people that we're going to have over. But it just didn't feel right. I've been sleeping throughout the day, which is normally not a thing for me. Just trying to get over all this, and hopefully we're about finished with it. But other than that, I mean, Christmas itself was good, and that's probably TLDR.
I mean, do you have any plans for New Year's?
So the only thing that I'm planning for New Year's is to go to the event that Steven is holding on New Year's Eve. It's a daytime event, but I'll be doing some Pokemon there. It's a challenge. I'm hoping that I can get all the cards I need for the deck I want to play.
It's going to be awesome. I'm going to be there as well, so hopefully I can help out with that.
I'd appreciate it.
Other than, that's the same thing I'm going to be doing as well, but overall, great Christmas.
Yeah, definitely. I'm looking forward to next year, too. I want to take my channel in a new direction. I'm going to try to focus more on bringing people into the game and the things they need to do that, to get really started and to get learning, as opposed to in the past. I feel like more of my content has been aimed at little niche decks that it's okay, this is good if you're in this exact situation, so do it because it's really good there. And I'm like, no, I want to present something that's going to help beginners of all sorts. That's the goal for me going forward.
That's awesome. I like to I want to help everybody, just be make it a huge community.
Definitely, that's
my goal.
Definitely,
I'm excited.
Cool beans. Well, with that, let's help some people understand our thoughts and opinions about some of the new cards coming out in, I guess they'll get here late March and be legal in April. But some of them are pretty impressive, pretty powerful. We're getting a return of Ace Specs, which are item cards. You can only have one of any Ace Spec, one total in your deck. And actually, they're not all items this time, which is interesting, because that was the distinction for me between Ace Specs and Prism Star cards.
Mm-hmm.
But they're blurring that line, which is fine. So with that, let's go ahead and dig in. We're going to talk about some EXs first. And the first one that I've got on my list is Gouging Fire EX. Now this is basically Entei, but as an ancient Pokemon. So he's
A
fire
big
type.
bat.
He has 230 HP. He's an ancient Pokemon with 2 attacks. The first is Heat Blast for 60 damage. It's a fire and a colorless. And then the second attack is 2 fire and a colorless, Exploding Flare for 260 damage. But the clause on it is that it can't use this second attack an additional time until it is left the active spot. So it's no more of this can't attack next turn stuff. It has to actually hit the bench before it can attack again with its big powerful attack. It has a retreat cost of 2, and of course, as a fire Pokemon, is weak to water. What do you think, Nate?
I can see this being like, being like a tech card in like the Iron Valiant Entei deck. So you can like, maybe like, so Raihan will not be around when this card comes out. So you'd have to like find a different way to accelerate energy. So Magma Basin's probably the best out for this card. Other than, it's kind of hard to get 3 energies on a EX like this.
Yeah.
I would
So,
like to say this.
go ahead.
Other than, I don't think it's that great, but it's like like how much HP did you say it has?
It has 230, so it's the same HP as the normal Entei V that we've been seeing. Same retreat cost as well. Actually, no, smaller retreat cost. It's only 2.
Ooh, okay.
So
Mhm.
the thing that I'll say is the 3 energy attack cost to me seems, because it's an ancient Pokemon, it seems like you could potentially get some kind of a combo going where you play Sada's Vitality plus a Magma Basin like you were talking about, as well as the attachment for turn. So it's possible to get it powered up in one turn. Now, how likely is it? I'm leaving that to be determined. But I do agree with you that I could see this maybe as a one of in the Entei Iron Valiant deck. I'm not sure. I could kind of see it replacing Entei in the Charizard deck as an early game hard hitter.
Oh yeah.
Because that 3 attack cost is pretty easy to power up when all you have to do is just evolve and you're there. But I feel like it's still a little lacking. Entei has that ability, and it is just drawing 1 extra card each time, but that consistency is a big deal, I think. So just straight up trying to put this in place of an Entei, I think you're going to run into some issues.
I agree.
All right, next we have the ancient form of Suicune. This is Walking Wake EX. It's a water Pokemon with 220 HP. Again, an ancient form. It has the ability that basically turns all of its attacks into shred attacks. Now, I say all of its attacks. It only has 1. But I guess this would apply to anything you attach to it as well. If you had a TM, it would also gain this this clause that makes it a shred type of move, but only on the opponent's active.
Okay.
Now the attack itself is a water and 2 colorless, Catharsis Roar for 120 damage, and if your opponent's active is affected by any special conditions, the attack does an additional 120, so up to 240 damage. It has a retreat cost of 1 and a weakness to lightning. So
I can definitely see this. Speaking about like Sada, I can see this being in like the crab deck with a Root Bonnet with the ability capsule. This seems pretty good, and like you said, you can do the TMs. What would Blindside shred as well?
Blindside would shred, yes.
If it's on the bench, would it still shred?
No, because it just says the opponent's active Pokemon.
Alright, cool. Other than, I can see it with the crab deck, the cloth deck.
Now, I would say, for it to work in cloth, you're going to have to revamp almost the entire deck, because it's centered around 0 and 1 attachment attacks, and having pretty much very little energy involved. So I almost think it would have to be a separate deck from cloth. That is based more around Sada. Like, it still operate similarly in the whole way that you use Brute Bonnet, obviously, to get the special conditions. This might be an alternative way to play a deck like the Crab deck going forward once we've lost the oh so powerful Spicy Season Curry.
I also have one more comment about that. So there's some more Roaring Moon lists that play like Energy Switch and Water Energies.
Hmm.
I can see you also just slapping in one of these into Roaring Moon,
I could see that
and
too,
if
for sure.
but then you would have to put in a Root Bonnet with the capsule. But
Yeah,
you can also just, like Energy Switches into like Radiant Greninja, then use Moonlight Shuriken. Seems pretty powerful.
yeah. You could do it with Roaring Moon. You might even be able to make it work without Roaring Moon with some other water Pokemon.
Mhm.
I don't know if that would be as effective. It seems like a lot to try to cram in just to get 20 extra damage over what Roaring Moon can do with discarding a stadium,
Right.
but maybe it would be worth it. I'm not sure. Okay, next we have Raging Bolt EX. Now this is sort of a Raikou ancient form, but it's a dragon type instead of following the fire, water, lightning pattern that we usually see with this trio. It has two attacks once again, no abilities. It's an ancient Pokemon. The first attack is for one colorless energy, Bursting Roar, where you just discard your hand and draw 6 cards. Oh, I forgot to mention, it's a 240 HP, which makes it the chunkiest of the three for once. Usually it's the kind of
Opposite.
softest, yeah. But
Yeah, it's really surprising to see Raikou, the most like HP low Pokemon.
yeah, well now he's the highest, and he's also got the 3 retreat cost, so he's also the slowest. But I guess that's what happens when you take a tiger and you merge it with a giraffe. I don't know. But so yeah, the first attack, just discard your hand, draw 6 cards, help you set up. I wish that this attack had a clause that said you can use it on your first turn going first. That would make this attack really good. As is, it's kind of like well, if things aren't going your way, then I guess you can do this, which isn't ideal at all. The second attack is what the card will be used for if it sees play. And I'm sort of on the fence as to whether this will be an amazing card or if it's just not going to be able to get there. But for a lightning and a fighting energy, 2 total energies, Extreme Ascent does 70 damage for each basic energy that you discard off of any and all of your Pokemon in play. So you decide how much you want to discard. And for each one you discard, it's 70 damage. This is the same attack, basically, that we see with Chien-Pao, with Raichu V, but it's a higher multiple. So it's going to stack up that much faster. You can now discard 4 energies and take out a 280 HP Pokemon, whereas before you had to have 5. That's good. That multiplier is good. I've seen suggestions of pairing this with the Sandy Shock EX that relies on fighting energy and can pull it out of the discard. So you would be able to reattach the fighting energies continually to be able to just attach from discard and then discard them again and have a constant flow of up to 4 extra energies plus your attachment for turn. The problem with that is, one, Sandy Shocks is a 2-prize Pokemon, and support Pokemon being 2 prizes is kind of meh. And 2, Sandy Shock's ability doesn't kick in until your opponent has taken 2 prizes. So now we're going to struggle to take that first knockout, and we're going to be behind. And this is the type of attack and the type of Pokemon that wants to race for prizes. So having to let your opponent win that race initially seems like it could be an issue. That said, I'm not convinced that there won't be ways we can figure out around that. But I'm not sure where to fall on this card as of yet. What do you think?
So I can see this kind of like a good tank deck for like the good first 2 prizes, right? So like you said, you can't on the first turn discard draw 6. So when you go second, most decks are not going to hit 240, like unless you're Miraidon, right? Going like second, right?
Even
So
Miraidon's going to struggle a bit to hit 240.
you'd have to get the Zapdos and like
That
another buff. Yeah, not even, right?
yeah. Yeah,
So you should be fine discarding and drawing 6, and then just waiting for your guy to get knocked out. I think EXP share would be very played, or maybe heavily played in the deck.
I could see that. The other thing that I've toyed around with in my head is playing this with a deck that also plays either the Forestress and some way to make use, because it can be any type of energy initially. So you could have grass energy that it's pulling in and attaching. Just find a way to make that work, but that probably gets the deck too complicated. Or potentially a Bombardier EX, right? And going first intentionally, and if they knock out the Bombardier, that's fine. You've already got things set up to go forward. So that might be a way to make it work. Throw in, the tool for ancient Pokemon to buff the HP up to 300. And it's like, okay, you take your first two prizes, but you're going to have to work for the rest of them.
Exactly. I agree with that. You know, back in the day, when Blacephalon GX was paired with Naganadel, the 4 to 3 prize turn was the most important turns of that deck. Because of V-String.
Yeah.
Because at the very beginning, it's not really popping off that much because you're relying on attaching and then charging up.
Yeah.
So, if that deck was good, I think that this one is just as capable. Well, back then you had, like, Welder, but this time, you don't.
This time you got Sada, though.
We do have Sada. And we have Radiant Greninja just, charge up the Sada, which is fine. I like that. But other than, I think this is the best Paradox Pokemon so far.
I agree. Then we see single prize Fluttermane, which has a 3 colorless attack to do 90 damage and place 2 damage counters on your opponent's benched Pokemon. And really, it's not going to be played for that, though. It's going to be played for the ability that turns off your opponent's abilities when it's in the active spot. It turns off your opponent's active Pokemon's abilities. Now, I think that might be too limited to really matter for Fluttermane. Because
does it also have to be in the active?
Yes, Fluttermane has to be in the active, and it only turns off your opponent's active. So it's like you could mess up a Miraidon deck if you're going second into them and they just have Miraidon. Well, I guess going first or second, if they just have Miraidon, and you can prevent like Squawk from happening in decks that open Squawk. But like I say, that's a little bit of benefit you get, but it doesn't seem like enough.
I can see this deck in like Lost Box maybe, because you said 90 then 20 damage to a Pokemon or two.
It's 2 damage counters onto the bench, however you like.
So I can maybe see that in Lost Box, like maybe for like beginning turns, like when you Mirage Gate.
I guess if it worked out well enough, spreading those 2, and then since you have 3 energies attached, you would be able at that point to then attach the TM to go back and come back with all the 2 damaged Pokemons that you've got and hit them for spread damage with the TM.
Yeah, that's pretty decent. And then just follow up with Sableye cleanup.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm not convinced that it'll be good enough to see play, though.
Yeah, this is like the most disappointing ancient Pokemon by far.
And then we move into future Pokemon. So if we start off with Iron Leaves EX, it's a grass Pokemon with 220 HP. Its ability says that when you play it from your hand onto your bench, you may switch it into the active, and if you do, you can move any number of energy from your benched Pokemon to this one. That would be great if we had a great attack that like used a bunch of energy to like do craziness. But its only attack is for 2 grass and a colorless, do 180 damage, and then next turn the Pokemon can't even attack. Now, that's enough to knock out a Charizard or a Roaring Moon, for sure, with weakness. But I don't know that being able to hit those 2 for weakness and take a knockout is enough to make this card worth playing. It gives me vibes of the old Tapu Koko GX, but Tapu Koko had that wonderful attack in his GX attack that let you just say, oh, you've got a bunch of energy around your board, I'm going to take a knockout on anything. And this doesn't do that.
It reminds me of Heatran GX. With you moving it into the active, and you may move all the energies onto itself.
Sure, but once again, Heatran also had a big, all this energy is going to do something for me, and I'm going to just take a big, big swing. And Iron Leaves doesn't do that. Mm-hmm. So I'm underwhelmed by this card currently. I like this style of card. I think that it could see a little bit of play in being paired with Iron Valiant because it adds mobility. But I don't know that it's doing enough.
So I can see it being paired with like Gardenia's Vigor, and just having it as a grass buff. So maybe grass decks can maybe come back.
But again, I could see that, but I think that it's too little. Gardenia's Vigor makes it so that you can get the 180 damage possibly a little bit more reliably, but it's still, in the end of the day, it's only 180 damage and it doesn't ever scale up.
That is true.
Next, we have
Yeah.
Iron Crown EX. This is a Psychic type, 220 HP future Pokemon. And it adds the buff that all future Pokemon attacks except for Iron Crown EX do 20 more damage to your opponent's active. So this would buff Iron Valiant up to a 220 damage attack. With the tool now, it'd be 240, and it will stack, so you could have a bunch of these guys out, buffing those attacks further. It would also buff Iron Hands, and make Iron Hands suddenly start doing potential OHKO damage on low HP two prizers, even without hitting weakness. And that's a little bit scary. I think the deck's probably too complicated to pull that off routinely. But if you can have an Iron Hands that's hitting for a flat 220 by attaching the free retreat tool and getting 4 of these guys out, that's starting to sound frightening.
Yeah. You'd also have to like power up the hands too. I mean, like I like the way like you have the new Mallow, right? So your generators are more consistent. But you would also have to find your generators and also find your Cobalions or Iron Crowns.
Yeah. Well, like that's where I think it's going to struggle, and we don't have to be that scared yet, because I think ultimately, like having to have so many of these guys out is going to mean you wouldn't be able to have the consistency needed to make the decks work the way you want. So it's probably that's probably not where it's going to see play. If and when it sees play, it'll probably be in some other future Pokemon based deck where it just pushes things up just enough to get those numbers. I'm not sure where I would see that as of yet, but I suspect that we'll see it somewhere.
So wait, so what does the attack do?
So the attack, yeah, I didn't even talk about that because I sort of don't care too much about the attack, but it's 3 energy, 1 psychic, and 2 colorless to hit 50 damage onto 2 of your opponent's Pokemon. Now, it says the damage is not affected by weakness or resistance or by any effects on those Pokemon.
So it can go through Manaphy.
It can go through Manaphy, which is actually pretty powerful. I didn't even read that last bit of that clause until right now. Yeah, that makes this thing a bit more of a... Okay. That makes this quite a bit stronger, I think. Because suddenly, like, pairing it with Iron Valiant, you're reaching the point now that you can just, like, go 1 hit with the Tachyon bits, and then this attack, and you're taking out 2 70 HP Pokemon. And Manaphy doesn't stop it. And Jirachi doesn't even touch it. That's good. Okay. The only question is, how are you powering it up? Maybe Z2?
Yeah, that's the problem I'm having.
Maybe a Z2 engine starts to work?
It's just kind of hard to have all these different Pokemon at the same time.
Yeah. I don't know, though. I could see it. I could see it maybe working out.
Well, maybe it does.
Food for thought.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have Iron Boulder EX, a fighting type future Pokemon with 240 HP. He's another chunky boy. With that corresponding 3 energy retreat cost as well. He has his first attack is for a fighting and a colorless. He's doing 60 damage, and then if he takes damage from an attack, it will place 8 damage counters onto the attacking Pokemon as long as he hasn't been cycled back to the bench. That's pretty powerful. Has been throughout the game. I kind of feel like 8 damage counters now is less meaningful than it used to be back when this was a Turtonator GX, for instance.
Mm-hmm.
But still pretty good. His second attack is a flat 200 damage, and then you have to discard 2 energy with a cost of 2 fighting energy and a colorless.
So, fighting acceleration's not that great right now.
Yeah. And especially since the energy has to come from this Pokemon. So you can't even do a pairing with the Sandy Shocks that we were talking about earlier. I feel like this is ultimately just going to be kind of a mediocre blah Pokemon that doesn't do much.
And like the first attack, it's like not that really relevant because it reminds me of it's one of the dinosaur Pokemon VMAX from Sword and Shield. I think it's like Arctovish. where it did like 60 damage, and if it got attacked, right, the attacking Pokemon gets 12 damage counters.
Yeah,
But
that was never relevant.
that's why I would like to compare it to.
Yeah. And then we have our last Pokemon that we're going to talk about is Iron Thorns. He's not an EX Pokemon. He's a single prizer, kind of like the Fluttermane, but he doesn't have any magic abilities or anything. He is a basic, even though he looks like a stage 2. He is a basic based around Tyranitar, but he's a lightning type with 140 HP. For a lightning and a colorless, he will do 70 damage for each future card that you find in the top 5 cards of your deck. But you have to discard those future cards.
Ooh.
Everything else gets from your top 5 gets shuffled back in. But so potentially that would be up to 350 damage if all 5 cards were future cards. That's pretty hefty for a 2 energy attack cost. You're
But
not.
if it's with lightning, I can see it being with like electric generator,
Mhm.
but then you'd have to like have heavy like future cards in your deck.
Yeah. I mean, I think this might be something that you'd pair with the new supporter that I was going to talk about next that you sort of referenced earlier. Cryptomaniacs Deciphering is what we're currently calling it. Where you search your deck for 2 cards, shuffle the deck up, and then put those cards on top. That would be a way to guarantee that you're going to get 2 future Pokemon, but that only guarantees you 140 damage. So then in the next 3 cards, you have to get more future cards locked in. And that's just a luck based around how you built the deck.
I can see this potentially maybe being a GLC card, but maybe other than maybe with Iron Valiant, like another pair for the Valiant, right? Just this time with just electric generator. You do have the tool buff to make it do 20 more damage,
True.
and maybe with Cobalion if you ever want to do that.
Yeah.
So if you're hitting 2 off of the Cryptomaniac, you're technically maybe doing 180. So that's like some decent like 2-hit KO numbers for sure.
Yeah. If you had some ways to recycle things, you could probably up your odds for late game by stuffing like future Pokemon back into your deck. But that might be a
I
little
can see
clunky.
Super Rod.
Yeah. Okay.
So I can see it with a Super Rod, so you can shuffle some of the futuristic Pokemon back into the deck, and I can see that's how you can ongoing attack with it consistently. Because there's not a like supporter or item that shuffles future Pokemon back into the deck from discard, right?
Not explicitly, no.
Yeah, so it would be Super Rod for sure. Other than, I would like to say this is probably like a B to C kind of card.
Yeah, I agree.
Like it's good. I would say for sure this is like a great card. It's not like a good card. And like if you see, it's more likely for you to not see it than you do see it.
For sure. Okay. And then we're going to move into Ace Specs. So we've had a few revealed. One is currently being called Neo Upper Energy. And basically, it's an energy card as an Ace Spec. So you can only play one. It is a single colorless energy attached to any Pokemon. But if it gets attached to a stage 2 Pokemon, it provides double rainbow energy. Every type of energy and 2 energy at a time. We already have reversal energy for stage 2 Pokemon when you're behind on prizes. I can't think of something where you need a ton of energy on a stage 2 like Rulebox Pokemon that makes this better than reversal.
I have a one in mind.
Okay.
I came on a
Hold on.
no worries. So the one I have in mind, everybody disagrees with me, but there's a Quick Waffle EX from I believe either base set Scarlet and Violet or Paldea Evolved. I think it's Paldea Evolved.
Yeah.
It has an attack for a water and a colorless. It does 230 damage, and you may put up to 2 energies from this Pokemon back into your hand.
Yep.
You
I know the card. I know the card you're talking about. My problem is, by the time you've evolved up to a stage 2, only hitting 230 damage just doesn't feel like you're getting there.
And there's also another stage too. There's Tyranitar, and it's not good.
Yeah.
I mean, it has 340 HP. That's the good part of it. But
I mean,
the attacks are not
yeah,
great.
it's totally going to Oko Quagball, but
Yep.
anyway, I'm sure that something will happen, that this card will see some play, and nobody will see it coming except maybe Nate. But the card the ace spec that we're expecting to sort of become the default for a while is Prime Catcher. Now, it's an item card, and it lets you switch one of your opponent's benched Pokemon into the active spot. So basically, it's like a boss's orders. And then along with that, you also switch one of your benched Pokemon into the active spot. So you're switching both sides, and you pick for both sides. It's like a combination, I guess, of boss's orders and escape rope.
It reminds me much of the Guzma card
It is.
from.
It's exactly the Guzma supporter that we had years ago in Sun and Moon. But this is on an item. So you can tie it in with any supporters, and there's no conditions. You don't have to be behind in prizes. And now you can swap in your benched Pokemon, so it's an extra switching card for decks like Iron Valiant. It's a way to bring in a benched attacker. If you want to attack with the same Pokemon you've had active, you can just put up something that can retreat, and it's going to be very powerful. I think just having this kind of effect on an item is strong enough that I think most decks will default to playing this as their ace spec of choice, unless they specifically need another card instead for some reason.
So, I think this makes Arven. Arven's already like one of the best supporters in the game right now. This makes Arven so much better than it already is, because this lets you consistently like grab it from the deck. And I was thinking about it, like maybe like it just came to my mind. It also might make Silene a better supporter to use, because you can like possibly you get it like the ace spec back, right? And potentially maybe another card.
So I'm going to counter that in two ways. One, I'm going to say, if you're playing Arven to get Prime Catcher, why aren't you just playing Boss? And two, if you're playing Silene to get it back, okay. If you can win those coin flips, good on you. But where I think the getting it back thing may do so much more is actually with Roaring Moon. If you're playing a copy of Darkrai V-Star, suddenly those dark patches to power up a Roaring Moon, combined with this and Darkrai's V-Star being able to use it multiple times, like you're getting a powerhouse combo there. So I think this card actually could help Roaring Moon out significantly.
For sure.
We've seen
when you bring up
list.
Darkrai. Sorry, go ahead.
We've seen recently, just in the last couple days, a tournament was played in Japan where Roaring Moon actually came in. I think it was like second place, and it played a one of Darkrai V-Star, and actually obviously made it work. It won out of thousands of players. It got second. So I'm intrigued to try the deck myself, but I think that this, if that is a successful way to play Roaring Moon once it's been tested and filled out, this would slot in there really well and make it an even stronger take on the deck.
I was thinking this ace spec can also be pretty good in Lost Box, right? So like the ongoing like Tord cards that you'd put in Lost Box, like Palkia and Giratina, you could do the same thing with like Darkrai V-Star. So you can get like Mirage Gate and or the catcher back. So that can be pretty cool.
Yeah, I could see that. Reusing Mirage Gates certainly seems like a plus.
Like 5 Mirage Gates. Overall, pretty fun. I think this card is a bit of a overpowered card.
Definitely.
But it's just a boss. It's just a counter catcher, but it doesn't matter when you play it.
Yeah. And then the last ace spec we've seen so far is a reprint of Master Ball. So Master Ball literally just says, get a Pokemon out of your deck. Any Pokemon you want. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to discard cards. Just get one. Now that said, like that's great. Getting a Pokemon, no downside. But it's underwhelming when you have Ultra Ball. And it's like, okay, yes, I don't have to discard now. but sometimes discarding is useful. Sometimes it activates draw up to so many card abilities that you need the discard effect to be able to get rid of some cards that are just kind of clunking up your hand. So, I mean, Master Ball is fine. I'm sure it'll see play here and there, just like it did last time around. But it's certainly no prime catcher.
Master Ball, whenever it was printed back in the day, it also didn't see any play because it had computer search and dowsing machine. I would even say that the Ace Spec Energy card is better than Master Ball.
I mean, I think there's arguments for that position. I'm gonna want to get a Master Ball just to have a Master Ball because I think that's kind of cool. Like this is one of the few cards that I actually want to like collect. But yeah, beyond that, I don't anticipate it seeing very much play. Maybe if we lose so much search that it's necessary. We lose a lot, but I'm still not sure because we still have Ultra Ball, we still have Nest Ball. And just having those two and then little bits and pieces elsewhere, I think might be enough that Master Ball is still not worth it.
Yeah. I agree with that. 100%.
I did not mention, so I'll mention now. We have another smattering of Pokemon that were included from a different set of cards. Basically, we have an Ancient Koraidon that I feel like is mostly irrelevant. He can hit 280 damage and do 60 damage to himself. And he has a Revenge Blast style attack, where it's 20 damage plus the damage that's on him.
Okay.
But it just feels kind of meh. And then we have the Dragon type Miraidon, another Dragon type EX, 220 HP, and he has two attacks. One of them is a flat 220, and you can't use the attack next turn. Literally, like the existing Miraidon. Except it requires Lightning and Psychic energies, as well as the colorless. So it's still 3 energy to hit for 220, and not be able to attack the next turn. But now you have to figure out how to get both Lightning and Psychic attached. And that just seems worse. Strictly worse.
I can see it in, like, Lost Box, maybe. But, like, what Lost Box... Well, Raikou will still be around, because, you know, you're playing Raikou and Sableye, right? So maybe in Lost Box, because it's Dragon type, it has no weakness. But then, like, what is its HP again?
It's 220. Weakness doesn't matter at that point. There's so many things that hit 220.
Yeah.
Like,
because Tina's good, because it has, you know, no weakness, plus the 280.
Yeah.
But then also has a delete attack.
Yeah. So I think this loses out on the attack damage. It loses out on the complicated cost. It loses out on the HP. And its first attack is maybe more relevant, but probably not. It's a Lightning and a Psychic, so it's just a 2 energy attack cost. Does 60 damage, and if there's already any damage counters on your opponent's Pokemon, it does 100 more. But 2 energy for a max of 160, I guess 180 with the tool. When it's different energy types, it feels mediocre.
Yeah. I would like to agree. And like I said, maybe with Mirage Gate decks, it might be fine. But other than that, there's no consistent way to power it up. Because you can't use Electric Generator, because it's not an electric type Pokemon.
Yep. By the time we get this, we're losing Flaffy.
That is true.
So you'd have to be looking at like the Psychic type. You have to be going into like Zatu territory, and by the time you get there, it's like we have better options.
Mm-hmm.
Like, why would you do this over a 3 Psychic cost on an Iron Valiant that's going to be able to do 20 damage when it goes into the active, and then 200 more?
Right.
You wouldn't.
Plus, like, the buffs that Valiant also has.
Yeah. I mean, this has access to many of those same buffs, technically, but I still feel like it's underwhelming.
All right.
So with
Was that all the Pokemon?
That's all the ones. I don't like there's a single prize Iron Hands coming out. He does 80 damage for 3 energy and can do 80 extra if it's to a rule box, like an EX or a V. We have an Iron Valiant coming out that can do 120 damage and can hit for 20 plus 20 to the active and bench. Meh.
GLC cards.
Sure. But
But that's for a
not
different
cards that are
episode.
strong enough, I think, to really matter. There's a Screamtail that for 1 energy will heal 100 damage. Again, like these are filler cards, I think.
Hmm.
But with that, we are wrapping up our discussion of new cards. That means it's time for Save 60 Fun Time. And that, this week, means that the two champions of the month, Nate and me, are going to face off with some Who's That Pokemon playoffs.
All right.
I guess in classic terms, we should let a die determine who goes first. Do you have a die on you?
I have one in my bag. Let me grab it. Are you sharing your screen?
Yeah.
I will have to find that. Other than, let me go grab a
Yeah,
die.
I've got one if you don't.
All right, cool.
Okay, Nate. Heads or tails?
Tails.
Ah, it's falling off. It was a 5, so that is tails. Would you like to go first or second?
I would like to go first.
Alrighty. And this is, I think we're just going to go first to get 3 correct. Well, no, we're both going to do 3. That's what we said.
Okay. Yep.
Both do 3, and it's whoever gets the highest combined total after 3. Okay. Nate, your first Pokemon has the Pokedex description. Lives close to water. Its long tail is rigid with a fin, which often is mistaken for a mermaid's.
So it says it lives close to water, so it sounds like this is a land Pokemon that lives on land, right?
Potentially.
Has a long tail with a rigid fin. So it's kind of funny. It kind of makes me think of Tatsugiri, but it also sleeps. It's also in the water.
Mm-hmm.
Man, this one's actually kind of hard.
Do you want to guess or do you want a hint?
Let's go ahead and do the type.
This is a water type Pokemon.
Okay, straight water. So, man, this is not helping. All right, we're gonna say, show me the generation of these Pokemon.
It is Generation 1.
That helps out a lot. So when I go down the generation, so it's not Seeking or like Goldeen or anything like that.
True.
It's not going to be like Magikarp or Gyarados. What other Pokemon that would make you think of a mermaid? Show me the stage.
It is a Stage 1.
It is a stage 1. Dang, this is really hard. My Gen 1 knowledge is not the greatest. And it's been the generation that's been out the longest.
I'm going to say, I think I knew this one from the description. I think I would have gotten 10 points on this.
I feel like whenever you show the silhouette, it's going to be like so obvious.
I think so too.
Alright, show me the attacks.
Alright. We've got Takedown and Helping Hand. Which,
Helping Hand.
that actually makes me less confident.
Okay. Because it's not going to be Dragonair because it's a water type.
But it's a water dragon, isn't it?
Yeah. I think it's actually just straight dragon. I'm going to say Vaporeon.
Vaporeon is where I was headed as well. It is Vaporeon for 6 points.
Helping Hand helped a lot, to be honest.
Really?
Yeah. Because it's just a lot of Pokemon that I was thinking of did not have Helping Hand.
I didn't know that Vaporeon had Helping Hand. Okay, so with the coin flip win, you can decide, am I going next and then you come back for your second one, or are you going 3 in a row?
So we're doing this off of a coin flip?
No, like you won the coin flip for determining the order. So now you get to decide if we flip back and forth or you just do all of your 3.
Let's go back to back. Like, it's your turn. Let's do like your turn, my turn.
Alrighty. So my Pokemon has the description. Each follows its trainer's orders as best it can, but they sometimes fail to understand complicated commands. What on earth? Oh my gosh. Okay. Each follows. Oh my gosh. I'm gonna take a stab in the dark. I'm gonna say Phalanx.
Oh,
It was gonna be epic if I got that right.
it It would have been really epic.
All right, so now we're gonna
It makes
go
sense.
with. I'm gonna show Generation, Gen 5.
So
Oh
that's
gosh,
black and white.
uh, Gen 5 is one of my like weakest. Okay,
Isn't it like Unova or something? I forgot the generation. Like the
I think so. No, I think Unova is Gen 3. I don't know.
something like that. We're TCG players. It's okay.
All right, the stage is a basic. Gen 5 basic.
Sick.
This description
Man.
is telling me nothing.
It makes me think of like a group of Pokemon.
Right, that's why I was like, Phalanx, well, let's go.
So Gen 5, basic, group of Pokemon.
I'm not getting anything. I gotta go for type. Normal and flying.
Ooh. This one's good.
Do you know it?
I want to think I know it. I don't really remember any of the birds from Gen 5.
Yeah. If it was Gen 6, I'd just. Well, I might talk myself into going for something in the Fletching arena. I don't
Gen
remember
5.
what generation Hoot Hoot is from.
Ooh. I don't either.
I feel like guessing Hoot Hoot and looking at the silhouette are roughly equal in terms of likelihood. But if I'm wrong about Hoot Hoot, then I'm going to have to do the silhouette anyway. So it's like 50-50 chance that I'm going to lose a point and still need silhouette. So I'm just going to go for the silhouette. Oh,
Oh, I remember this one. Do you remember the name?
no.
I'll give you a hint. It starts with a P and ends with a E.
Oh, no. This is going to destroy my score.
Oh no.
P-E.
Sometimes I like to call this the pigeon Pokemon.
Oh, you're so helpful, Nate. You're so helpful. I got it now. Oh, that was very kind of you. That was
You're
very
welcome.
kind of you. That, all right, if we tie, you get the win. Straight up.
That's very, thank you. It's like a party Christmas gift.
All right, so you're currently at 6 points. I'm magically, thanks to your good graces, at 5 points. And we're rolling around back to you.
All right.
So, your description for your next Pokemon. This Pokemon has the habit of becoming fascinated by moving objects and chasing them around. This Pokemon is known to chase after its own tail and become dizzy.
Ooh. This Pokemon, for some reason, makes me think of Psyduck. Already.
Huh.
I'm not going to go straight out of the water from that. That's what I get it, because it's water type. So it has a tail. It chases its own tail. And it gets dizzy.
Yep,
And it loves objects. Moving objects.
yep.
Show me the gen. The gen's like a huge help all the time.
Yeah. Gen
It
3.
narrows down. So Gen 3 is like the Piplup and Turtwig. Wow, this is bad. I am not the strongest Gen 3 kind of player. Whew. Go ahead and show me the type.
Alrighty. It's a normal type.
Oh, I think I know what this one is. But, oh man. This is not looking good. Alright, show me the stage.
It is a basic.
So okay, it's a basic normal type. Kind of reminds me of Apom. I don't remember what Gen Apom is from.
I'm not sure either.
I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna go ahead and guess Apom.
Okay. How do you want to spell that?
I'm gonna look it up so I don't wait. Can I look it up? I think it's AIPOM.
I think so too. We'll go with that. And if spelling is the issue, there's an algorithm that I'm using in this game to try to get approximate spelling as well. So that's probably close enough that it would trigger anyway. So
Ooh.
no.
All right, let's go ahead and do silhouette.
Right?
Aha! It does have a funny tail like Aipom. I feel like Aipom is a Gen 5 Pokemon too. Because,
You,
I don't know my normal types.
yeah, I don't either. I wouldn't. Gen 5 sounds right, but
And this is Skitty. I know this is Skitty.
yes,
Let's
it's Kitty
go.
for 5 points.
I don't think that the attacks would have helped me, so I avoided the attacks.
Yeah, I don't know. Faint Attack and Tail Whip might have been relevant, but I don't
Well,
know.
with the text saying it chases its own tail, I don't know if
Yeah,
Tail Whip would.
yeah.
Well,
I could. I mean, as far as determining between Skitty and Apom, I don't think that either of those would change your mind one direction or the other. Alrighty. So now
alright.
my second Pokemon, it makes furballs that crackle with static electricity. It stores them with berries in tree holes.
Ooh.
Ooh.
I think I know what this one is.
Hmm.
Well, there's multiple, I think.
No, there's only one that actually fits this. But yeah. All right, so electric types with fur. This is not Pikachu or Raichu.
Hmm.
It might I'm headed toward Dedenne, but I'm not sure yet. I don't think it's I don't think it's any of the Volt Charge-a-Bug. I don't think it's anything in that line.
Hmm. It doesn't have no fur.
Exactly.
That's definitely like an electric type for sure.
Yeah. No, for sure. It's definitely electric type. Um,
And it likes berries.
I feel like the Dedenne likes berries. Uh, all right. We're going to swing for the fences again and go with the Dedenne.
All right.
Nope.
Ooh.
Were you thinking it was Dedenne?
No, I think this is a different Pokemon.
All right. I was like, whoa, don't tell me. And then I was like, maybe I want him to tell me, but okay. Um, all right, we're gonna go for Gen 4.
All right. Now I know what this Pokemon is.
Oh. Gen 4.
This is the one that's, I think, Sinnoh, maybe? So the one with like a Piplup, Turtwig.
I'm not getting there. I'm gonna do stage. It's basic. That doesn't
Basic.
really help me because I was pretty confident in that already. Oh goodness.
Well, now I'm actually stuck between two Pokemon.
Uh, I know it's just gonna say electric type when I click show type, but
I think so too.
I've got to do something to be able to get to the silhouette. I'm gonna get another 5 points.
Yep, I knew it.
Oh,
Yep,
good.
ever since the start, I knew it. Do you remember? Oh, yeah.
Pachirisu, is that?
I think you changed the first U into an. Oh, there you go.
Doesn't matter. See, the name
Yeah,
was spelled
yeah.
wrong, but it still got it.
Let's go.
Alrighty, so
So
I
now
got
we're
5.
we're 10 to 11, right?
Yep, I'm 10. You're 11.
This is very close.
It is close. This is also like the worst I've done on any string of these. All right,
Not the
Nick,
easiest.
your final Pokemon. They are intelligent and will cooperate to catch prey. From the ground, they use a running start to take flight.
Ah, so this is like a. So, I don't want to think that this is a bird Pokemon because it has to run to fly. Well, I can also see it being like a vulture Pokemon.
A vulture is a type of bird.
Let's go ahead and let's see the type.
Type is rock and flying.
Rock and flying. Ooh. I don't really remember any rock and flying Pokemon. Let's go ahead and see the generation.
Gen 5.
Gen 5. So this is black and white.
Wonderful, wonderful Gen 5.
Ooh, I think I know what this Pokemon is. But it can be either stage. Either stage 2 or a stage 1. Because its basic is a fossil. Ooh, I kind of want to keep my score, though. Go ahead and show me the stage. I want to reassure.
Stage 1.
Okay. Well, now this is confusing, because you know Archon and Archeops?
Mm-hmm.
Is Archeops A stage 1 or a stage 2?
That's a good question, and I don't know.
Because if it's Archon, I'm gonna say Archeops.
Okay.
Because stage 1 is just kind of confusing.
It
Let's
was
go.
Archeops. All right, good job. I don't know if I'd have gotten there or not. I don't think I would have. All right, my final Pokemon. It rescues people stranded by blizzards in the mountains. Its shaggy fur shields it from the cold.
Ooh. I think I know what this one is.
It rescues people
When it-
stranded by blizzards in the mountains. Its shaggy fur shields it from the cold.
The shaggy fur is what gets me, but I don't know if it rescues stranded people. The Pokemon I'm thinking about.
Yeah, I'm gonna swing for the fences again. With the Beartic.
Oh.
No.
Ah. Oh no.
My swings are misses. Alrighty. Show stage. It is a stage 2.
I think I know what this Pokemon is. I think it's also a Pokemon that starts with a P and ends with an E. I kind of want to make this a tie so we can get like another one in.
I mean, I did say that you win in the case of a tie, but E ends with E. Ice type. Shaggy fur.
I might be wrong though. Or no, it's a stage 2. I thought it said stage 1. It might start with an M and end with an E. I might be wrong though because it says stage 2. Now it just changes everything. I don't know.
I got where you're going, and I'm gonna agree that's a good guess.
Ooh,
Not good
wrong.
enough. All right.
I'm wrong. Okay.
All right. We're gonna show type. Normal type.
Normal.
Good lord.
What normal types out in the cold?
I don't know, but I can skip generation and go straight to silhouette.
Oh, did it really?
Apparently, that actually that makes some sense. Oh my god! And now the name's really Stoutland, right?
Yep. There we go.
Well, Nate, I got 15 points today, and you got 18 points today.
Let's
So
go.
you are our champion this year.
Oh no, there's no description.
Yeah, it does that every once in a while. You just have to refresh, and it brings one up.
Nice.
I haven't figured out what causes that bug, but I haven't tried that hard because it's pretty simple to get it fixed. All right.
Nice.
Well, that may mean that did Connor already? No, you didn't get a cookie last week.
I did not.
But with this win, I'm pretty sure that means Connor owes you a cookie now, and he owes me a cookie as well. So he owes both of us cookies. Merry Christmas to us. And with that,
Merry Christmas to us.
that's going to do it for today for the Same 6D Pokemon podcast. I'm Jeffrey, JGB146 Blake.
And I'm Nate, Sky Circus TCG.
Once again, thank you for watching. Hopefully this has been a little entertaining, seeing me totally unable to think up the names of any Pokemon that exist. We'll see you next week, I hope. Thank you for listening.